Hello everyone. Yesterday we had started with chapter 6 political parties, and we had done the definition and the function. We had seen that political party is formed by a group of people who have the same thinking, same ideology, same principles. They agree on that and they come together so that they can be a group, they can win the elections and they can form the government and formulate all the policies to run the country. Alright, then we had seen the functions, and in the functions I had made you write about 7 functions in which forming a government was there, making laws for the country, implementing many schemes, like that many things were there. I hope you all have gone through the notes and read the notes and understood. Still, if you have any problem in the doubt class, you can ask me. So we'll move ahead in this chapter and we'll start with the next topic, that is necessity. Why political parties are necessary in a democratic country, the necessity. The list of functions is the sense answers the questions asked above. So I made you write about 7 functions. So if you need an institution in a democracy to carry on these functions, you require the political party. These functions tell us that political parties are very important. But we still need to ask why modern democracies cannot exist without political parties. But still the question comes, is there no other alternative? Do we really need political parties? We can understand the necessity of political parties by imagining a situation without parties. In my previous class I had told you, suppose I am an independent candidate. I stand in my constituency, fight the election, I win the election. The same way someone else, an independent candidate, wins from another constituency. Someone else wins from another constituency. Now all these independent candidates, they have their own thinking, they have their own ideologies. So how will they come together? And suppose they come together also, will they think of the country? Because they will first think about their constituency. Who is going to think about the country? So we need political parties, we need that group which has the same thinking, same policies, because then they are clear how they have to run the country. We can understand the necessity of political parties by imagining a situation without political parties. Every candidate in the elections will be independent, so no one will be able to make any promises to the people about any major policy changes. All are independent. They haven't come together with same policies, same principles. They all had their different policies, different principles. So how they are going to come together and run the government? So no one will be able to make any promises to people about any major policy changes. The government may be formed, but its unity will remain ever uncertain. Suppose they form a government, they come together, all the independent candidates, they form a government. But how long that government will work, that will be a question. Because each person is an individual person with his own thinking, own principle, own ideology. And what will happen? Everyone in that group will want to become the PM or the CM. Is that possible? Not possible. And when it is not possible, then there are chances that the government may fall apart. Government may be formed, but its utility will remain ever uncertain. What is the use of such a government where their thinking does not match? Where the people who are in the government, they have different policies. They don't agree on the same principles, same policies. What is the use of such a government? Such a government will not work for a long time. Elected representatives will be accountable to their constituency for what they do in the locality, but no one will be responsible for how the country will be run. They don't belong to a particular party. They had not promised the people of the country that if we come to power, we'll do this, we'll do that. Each one of them had promised to the people in his or her constituency. And because of that, what happens? Though they form the government, after forming the government, their first responsibility they'll feel only towards the constituency from which they had won the election, and the country will be kept last. So how will the good of the country happen if such a government is formed? We can also think about it by looking at the non-party based elections to the panchayat in many states. Panchayat elections take place in states, in the villages. Although the parties do not contest formally, it is generally noticed that the village gets split into more than one faction, each of which puts up a panel of its candidates. No party may be there, but still we know that this person, he likes this party, he is attached to this party, he follows the principles of this party, that person, he follows that party. So we know that those who are contesting elections, they are connected to one party or the other, and in that way the village, the people in the village automatically divide into different groups, though the parties are not visible there. This is exactly what the party does. That is the reason we find political parties in almost all countries of the world, whether these countries are big or small, old or new, developed or developing. Parties are very important. The two reasons just now I have explained. Alright, so a country can't be run if political parties are not there. Especially a democratic country can't be run properly if a political party is not there. So you require political parties. They are very important part of the democratic system. The rise of political parties is directly linked to the emergence of representative democracies. That is, democratic country where we elect our representatives, send them to the parliament to govern the country, to make policies for us, for the welfare of us. As we have seen, large societies need representative democracy. As societies became large and complex, they also needed some agency to gather different views on various issues and present these to the government. We are one of the largest democracies in the world. So it is very difficult for one person or one party to rule the country and do the good of the people. So in these type of representative democracies, we see that political parties are very important. They needed some ways to bring various representatives together so that a responsible government could be formed. They needed a mechanism to support or restrain the government, make policies, justify or oppose them. So, political parties are the only source or way in which you can bring representatives to one place, make them sit, make them discuss and make them formulate the policies for the welfare of the country and the people. Political parties fulfill these needs that every representative government has. We can say that parties are a necessary condition for a democracy. So, in a democratic country, parties are very important because they bring people of different opinions together at one place. They sit together, they have discussion, they decide on things, and in this way they work for the good of the people and the country. So that is why political parties are very important, or they are necessary for a democratic country. Now I'll give you the notes for this topic. So you put the heading, the necessity of political parties. We need political parties because and after this you'll put in points. 5 points are there. The first point, they perform all the functions which are mentioned above. Now it means yesterday you had written the notes and we had written the 7 functions. So all those functions can be performed only by political parties. So suppose a question comes, why is political party necessary? So you have to mention some of these functions. Don't write all the functions mentioned above. Okay, you have to mention 2-3 functions also. So the first point, they perform all the functions which are mentioned above. Next, they help in representing different views on various issues to the government. Next point, they bring various representatives together. They bring various representatives together so that a responsible government could be formed. Next point, they work as a mechanism to support or restrain the government. They may support the government in making some policies, they may stop the government from making some policies, make policies justify or oppose them. They may justify the policies, yes, this is right, this should be done, or they can stand against these policies. And the last point, political parties fulfill the needs that every representative government has. Political parties fulfill the needs that every representative government has. These are the 5 points that you will put up for the necessity of political parties. Okay, now we come to the next topic. How many parties should we have? There is no correct answer to this. How many parties? We can't decide. It depends on the country, its history, its social division, political divisions. Alright. So, there is no perfect answer for this. How many parties are required in a democratic country? But we'll discuss about the different type of party system that we have witnessed in the democratic country. It can be a one-party system, it can be two-party system, or it can be a multi-party system. In a democracy, any group of citizens is free to form a political party. I want to make a political party, I am free to make a political party. You want to make, you are free to make a political party. You can form a party. All are free to form political parties in a democratic country. In this formal sense, there are a large number of political parties in each country. In India, there are about 750 parties which are registered in the Election Commission, 750 political parties. Most of the political parties you must have not even heard the name. Because though there are so many parties, only some parties are prominent. Some parties have a chance to form the government. There may be plenty of parties. So 750 parties are registered with the Election Commission of India. But not all these parties are serious contenders in the election. They contest the election. They may not be having a chance of winning the election, but still they contest the elections. They have formed parties. Usually only a handful of parties are effectively in the race to win elections and form the government. So the question then is, how many major or effective parties are good for a democracy? Now we learn about the party system. In some countries, only one party is allowed to control and run the government. Only one party has the permission to contest the elections, if they give permission to other parties also, but one party only will run the government. Other parties may support it. So these are called the one party systems, and we can witness this in China. The Communist Party rules there. Alright. Although legally speaking people are free to form political parties, it does not happen because the electoral system does not permit free competition for power. People are free to make parties, but when it comes to form the government, only the Communist Party can form the government there. No other party has a chance to form the government. So that is one party system being followed in China. We cannot consider one party system as a good option because this is not a democratic option. In a democracy, we have to sit, we have to decide, we have to discuss, we have to listen to everyone's viewpoint. But if there is only one party, then how are we going to get the viewpoint of other people? Many may be opposing the policies of this party. So one party system is not good for a democratic setup. Any democratic system must allow at least two parties to compete in elections and provide a fair chance for the competing parties to come to power. In a democratic country, people should get a choice. They should be made to think about the different policies and then decide what is good for us. But when it is one party system, they don't get a choice. So at least two parties should be there in a democratic country. At least. There can be more. Just now I told you. In the Election Commission of India, 750 parties have registered. In some countries, power usually comes between two main parties. Several other parties may exist, contest elections and win a few seats in the national legislature, but only the two main parties have a serious chance to form government. Only two parties have the chance to win the election and form the government. Many other parties may be there. They may win one or two seats also. In the end, they can become part of the party which forms the government. But they don't have the chance to form the government. Only two major parties have the chance to form a government. Such a party system is called a two-party system. And you will find the two-party system in the United States of America and the United Kingdom. If several parties compete for power and more than two parties have a reasonable chance of coming together to power, either on their own strength or in alliance joining to one another, we call it a multi-party system. That is what we follow here. We have multi-party system in India. All the parties get a chance to contest the election and they have a chance of forming the government. Maybe they come together. If they don't have the majority, different parties come together and then they form a government. They can come together after the election also, before the election. Before the election, it is the alliance. They come together before the election. And then they form a government of different parties coming together, which is called a coalition government. In this system, the government is formed by various parties coming together in a coalition. When several parties in a multi-party system join hands for the purpose of contesting elections and winning power, it is called an alliance. NDA, UPA, these are alliances. In NDA, the main party is BJP, plus all the other parties which support BJP. The same way UPA, the main party is Congress party, plus all the other parties which support the Congress party. So like this, they form an alliance before the elections, and then they go to contest the elections, and if they win, they make a government. They form a government. For example, in India, there were 3 such major alliances in 2004 parliamentary elections. The National Democratic Alliance, I told you, led by BJP, the United Progressive Alliance, led by the Congress Party, and the Left Front, led by the Communist Party, and other parties which are like-minded. So, the multi-party system often appears very messy and leads to political instability. We feel that so many parties, how are the people going to decide? So many choices are there before them. But still, we know that our country has formed such powerful governments. So that means, though it may appear messy, though it appears something confusing, but still it is a good option. At the same time, this system allows a variety of interests and opinions to enjoy political representation. Multi-party system allows people from different types of society, different thinking to come together. And that way what happens, a representation is given to all the major type of caste and religion and social divisions. Everyone gets, or gender, everyone gets their voice to be heard. Everyone's voice is heard. But in 2-party system, only 2 types. 1-party system or single-party system, only 1 type. But in multi-party system, all the types of people come together, all different viewpoints come together, and after that a decision is taken after taking into consideration the viewpoint of everyone. And such a decision is taken which will do the good of everyone, for the collective good. That is what we learnt in the definition of political party. They come together to implement some policies for the collective good, not for one section or not for 2 sections of the society, but collective good for the whole country, for the people, the citizens of the country. So which of these is better? Perhaps the best answer to this very common question is that this is not a very good question. I told you in the beginning only. We can't say that for this country this party system is better. For any democratic country only this party system is the best. We can't say like that. It depends on various factors. Party system is not something any country can choose. It evolves over a long time depending on the nature of society, its social and regional divisions, its history of politics, and its system of elections. All these play an important role or a big role in the type of party system that the country is following. These cannot be changed very quickly. Suppose we are a multi-party system, suppose suddenly we think that no, now we should have one party system, it is not possible. Suddenly changes can't come. It takes hundreds of years for the changes to come. Each country develops a party system that is conditioned by its special circumstances. For example, if India has evolved a multi-party system, what is the reason why we have multi-party system? It is because the social and geographical diversity in such a large country is not easily absorbed by 2 or even 3 parties. So many differences are there. Maybe the physical features, maybe the language of the people, the way they dress, alright, the customs they follow, their culture, everything, plenty, so many differences are there. To voice these differences, you require so many representations. And that is why we have multi-party system in our country. No system is ideal for all countries and all situations. So we cannot say that only this system is the best, all other systems are bad or they are not good, because for different countries have their different factors, and according to that they have their party system. I'll give you the notes for this now. So you put the next heading. How many parties should we have? Put a question mark. How many parties should we have? In a democracy, any group of citizens is free to form a political party. More than 750 parties are registered with the Election Commission of India. More than 750 parties are registered with the Election Commission of India. Put a full stop. But not all these parties are serious contenders in the elections. Full stop. So how many major or effective parties are good for democracy? Put a question mark. So we'll stop here for today and we'll continue with the notes in the next video.